Let us pay homage to the lineage gurus, homage to the Venerable Monk Liao-Ming, homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong, homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, and homage to Master Dubten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the good practice this evening, Medicine Tathagata of the Eastern Lapis Lazuli realm by Sayaguru. Sumo, Danchen Katso, Duten Siddhi, all Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma lecturers, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening, everyone. How do you do?
Aiste 사랑해 오라미코 깨깨로 무쳐 스코인 이지바 김어지 주미 야비 뿌린뿌린 건방와
Good evening. Today we practice Medicine Tathagata of the Eastern Lapis Lazuli realm, and we wish that Medicine Tathagata is related to medicine. He's also related to illnesses. So, toward the virus is also related. And we hope that Medicine Tathagata can cure the illnesses with this medicine so that all illnesses can be cured. And the virus can be eradicated. So that everybody can live normally. Like usual, that we don't have to suffer so much hardship. We pray, we hope that Medicine Tathagata, the Medicine King Bodhisattva, Supreme Medicine Bodhisattva, Sunlight Radiance Bodhisattva, Moonlight Radiance Bodhisattva, and the 12 Great Medicine Generals can support all sentient beings to abandon this major disaster due to the virus. Today, before the Dharma teaching, I would first like to share a joke.
这个警察问一个人，
The policeman asked
你的
someone,
信用卡被盗，
your
为什
credit
么不
card
报警？
is
这个人回答，
being
因为
used,
偷我
and why
信用
didn't
卡
you
的
report it to the police?
那个贼呀，花的比我老婆少。
And he replied, because the money that he spent is less than my
所以他
wife's.
不想报警，
So that's why I didn't report it to the police.
那个贼花的比较少。
Because the thief spent less.
现在这个胖也是一个问题。
Nowadays, overweight is
Yeah.
also an issue.
对一个很少看到的小姐，让她欢喜。
If you want to
你只要跟她讲一
please
句话就可以
a
了。
lady that you haven't seen
你
for a
最近
while,
看起
you
来
can
瘦
just
了
say,
很多，
oh, you have lost a lot of weight recently.
那这样她就很欢喜。
Then she would be happy.
但是胖不是没有原因，
But there's a
什
reason
么原因？
to
开
be
心
fat.
我就吃，
When I'm happy, I eat.
伤心我也吃，
When I'm sad, I also
压力
eat.
更大更要吃，
When it's stressful, I have to eat even more.
当然吃了。
And when I have time, of course, I also eat.
这就是胖的理由。
That's the reasons to be fat.
好，现在呢，进入你问我答。
Now we will enter the Q&A
台
session.
湾莲花敏之问的，
Asked by
世尊
Lianhua
佛
Ming
安
Tze from Taiwan.
感恩师尊慈悲，为
Clear
弟子
Master,
解惑。
peace with you. Be
关于
thanks for your
人格
compassion
分
to
裂
answer my
和
questions.
多
On
重
the
人格的问题，
Dissociative identity
这个你要
disorder.
问精神科
What?
医生，
You should ask a
心理医生
psychiatrist and a psychologist instead.
人格分裂和多重人格的问题。 好，第一个问题，哦，
Dissociative identity
1、
disorder.
2、3、4个问题跟 A 跟
And
B，
she has 1, 2, 3, 4 questions and A and B. Lots of
请问
questions.
师尊，以师尊的佛眼，你如何
Grandmaster,
解释
in your
这
Buddha's
两个问
eyes,
题？
how do you
这
explain
种
this
算是
situation?
禅身灵吗？
Do you consider it
这
to
两
be
个
having
名词
attached spirits?
你如何解释？这种算是禅身灵吗？这是
How
第
do
一个
you
问题。
explain this? Is it an attached spirits?
我告诉你啊，师尊也有多重人格。
So dual personality or alternate personality. You know, let me tell you, Grandmaster too have multiple
我
personalities.
坐在这里啊，
I'm seated here, then I am
一
drowsy.
讲话
But as soon as I speak,
不
I
讲话，
feel awake again.
我就快睡着。
But if I don't speak, I'm falling asleep.
今天有没有打瞌睡？有没有睡？
Am I falling asleep today?
有啊。你们怎么那么老实？
Yes. How can you be so honest?
对呀、坐着不动，
When
你
I
说
sit
睡醒吗？
unmoved,
坐那么久，
how can I not
念咒念
sleep?
那么长
And I sat for so long and
但是我一
mantra
讲话
chanting
精
so
神就来
long. But as soon as I speak, my energy's back.
什么人格？
What
这
kind
就
of
是
personalities
多重
is
人格？
that's multiple personalities?
人格分裂
and dual personality disorder, or dissociative identity disorder. I was thinking that sitting here quietly, I shouldn't be drowsy, but really. But as soon as I speak, then I'm not sleepy anymore. Is there someone feeling sleepy when they talk? Yes. Simu can be sleepy while she's eating. She's falling asleep while eating. And every night, she had to light a snack before going to bed. And when she eats, she's like this. Then she starts doing that. And while she's speaking, she would say, "What did you say?" And I said, "Did I say anything?" And she said, "Yes." That person that's tall and big behind you speaking, who's that? And I said, and she asked, "Who is that?" And I told her, "Don't say it. I've seen many more than you." She asked me that, "Who's that behind you, big and tall?" In the daytime, she's fine. Her spirit and everything is normal. But at night, what happens? Daytime and nighttime and before bedtime are all different. And for me, when I'm seated on this Dharma throne, I'm rather different. And I don't have that capability when I eat. I will not fall asleep when I eat. I just eat slowly. Everybody eats faster than I do. Grandmaster is slowest when he eats. After everybody finishes eating, Grandmaster is still eating. Why is that? I don't want it to be like that. But what happens? Did I eat more than other people? No. Then how come I eat so slowly? I chew. I chew all the time. I never stopped. How come it's like that at every meal? I really want to eat in the same... I want to finish eating at the same time as everybody. But I never catch up. I never could catch up. According to Grandmaster's viewpoint, in Grandmaster's eyes, I would say it this way. The so-called dissociative identity disorder and multiple personalities, you should ask a psychiatrist. In terms of science or research, of the brain and mental, you should ask the experts. And you come to ask Grandmaster, and Grandmaster would say, in terms of medicine, you should ask the psychiatrists and medical experts. But Grandmaster comes from the religious viewpoints. Actually, it's not religious, but it's spiritual cultivation. In terms of spiritual cultivation, in Taoism, there's this song. Inside your heart, there are 36,000 gods. Inside the body, there are 36,000 gods. So this is the dissociative identity disorder and multiple personalities. This is from the Taoist point of view. And it exists in Taoism. The upper Tian, the upper Dantian or upper field is the brow point. The middle field is the heart chakra, and the lower Dantian or field is the navel chakra. And in the upper Dantian, there's a color, which color, which people. And in the middle Dantian, how many people with what colored clothes. And in the lower Dantian, how many people with what color clothes. So in the Huang Ting Nei Jing Sutra and the Huang Ting Middle Sutra and the Huang Ting Outer Sutra, it was mentioned in everybody's body there are many people living in it. So that's the so-called multiple personalities and dissociative identity disorder. If they reside normally, there's no problem. But if they are abnormal, then there would be problem. And the Buddha and the Tantric Buddhism also says there are many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas residing inside the body. At the brow chakra, there is Vairocana Buddha. At the throat chakra, there is Amitabha Buddha. At the heart chakra, there is Akshobha Buddha. At the navel chakra, there is Ratnasambhava Buddha. At the secret chakra, there is Amughasiddhi Buddha. And they have their palaces and their retinues and families. And it even says where Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva Mahastama Praptas, the 8 great Bodhisattvas, at which parts of your bodies. This is in Tantric Buddhism and Buddhism. Tantric Buddhism is also Buddhism. So, if the order is, if they are disorderly or something is at fault, then it would become dissociative mental disorder. So this is not just attached spirits. Attached spirits is only one of the cases. that even Buddhas and Bodhisattvas reside inside your body. Very simple, let me tell you. Your Yidam, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, aren't you asking him to enter into you? And eventually, the Yidam is at the faraway place, and then near you, in front of you, and lastly, on top of you, and then lastly, entering into your body. And you are the Yidam, and the Yidam is you. That's spiritual union. So one person, a human being, but you're also the Yidam. So that becomes two people. And if the Yidam leaves, then there would be split personalities. And for multiple personalities, like if you have many Yidams, like Grandmaster has 3 Yidams, and the 3 Yidams enter into me, then that would be multiple personalities, right? That's my explanation. Now, do you understand? If you're just an ordinary being, and there's an attached spirits entering into your body, then you're a mentally ill person, because you cannot control your attached spirits. And if the attached spirit is violent, and you know, and when they are they're acting up, then it would be really horrible. But otherwise, that person is nice and polite. So that's about the attached spirit. That's the answer to the first question. Second, in many mental illness cases, sometimes inside the person, there exist dozens of personalities. Sometimes they are not even aware of each other. Do you consider them to be attached spirits? According to my opinion, if you don't have Buddhas and Bodhisattvas residing inside you, and you don't have gods residing inside of you, but you have attached spirits inside you, and many of them, then of course, yes. Of course, yes. Mentally ill person. Dozens of personalities, and they are not aware of each other. Are they considered to be attached spirits? Yes, of course. I have explained it. It's similar to the first question. They are attached spirits. From the medical point of view, multiple personalities were a result of split personality, and each of them is also ourselves. Is that possible? By a marvelous observation and understanding, what is this? If they are all yourselves, then you can control them. And because they are not yourselves, that's why you cannot control them. And Grandmaster also thinks that every one of us is a mentally ill person. It's just the degree that you're still within the range of a normal person. Sometimes you can go over it. Then if you go outside the range, then you become a mentally deranged person. Otherwise, you're a normal person. Right? Sometimes you're being controlled and you don't even know it. I think there's a joke about it. I've seen it last night, but it's hard to find one. Come on, come out soon. Come on fast.
好了，找到了啊。
Okay, I found it.
早上醒过来，花姐躺在医院。
When I woke up in the morning, I discovered I'm in the hospital. And my head is wrapped like a sheikh from India. And sore all over and got a bone fracture. I made a phone call to a co-worker. What happened? And the co-worker replied, you drank too much last night. And then I brought you to the hotel and told your wife to take care of you. And when she got in, you yelled, give me the young one. Give me a younger one. So let me tell you something simple. When someone drinks alcohol, there are many of them that cannot control themselves. After they drink, and when they get angry, they would throw everything, this mirror or whatever. Or when you're angry, you're not like a not like a human being. You would throw anything you can grab, and then perhaps you grab an antique and you realize, oh, this is so expensive, then you put it back. So you still have a little bit of self-control. Otherwise, you do everything else. So isn't that like a mad person? And some people, after they drink, they become out of control. And of course, someone use the alcohol to let out. So, or to vent out stuff. And some people, you see, when his wife came in, he did not recognize her, and instead he yelled like, give me a younger one. It's good enough that he wasn't beaten to death. Sometimes when someone is angry, it's almost the same as a mad person. And at that time, they cannot control themselves. In our True Buddha school, it's like a shelter for mentally deranged people. Many of them have some problems, some mental problems. This past few days, we have several Indians who came into the temple, and they saw a reverend, and the reverend said it politely, welcome. The Indian did not understand Huang Guanglin, and they did not understand, but they felt that it was polite and must be with good intention. So angel helped those Indians. They mentioned angel. She translated, and this which Buddha and Bodhisattva, and they wanted to go to the gift store, and the reference said, oh, let me help you. And he or she went in quickly and helped them. What's the name of the person who made offering today? Jiu-Ru. Good thing that Jiu-Ru wasn't there. So that reverend was kind and treated them nicely. And when the Indians left, they discovered this is different. In the past, it wasn't like this. In the past, when they came, he or she give them forms like, fill it. Have you get injection? Have you been vaccinated? Have you been tested? Fill in the forms and shock them so that they didn't dare to come. But this time it's different. Who was giving the service? The tall one with no glasses? A nun, the Reverend Lien Ye. Her service is very good. We should all learn from her, right? That Indian praised her. It's different from before. Then Reverend Lien Ye has always provided good service, really. So as ordained monks and nuns, we are all mentally incomplete people. They're multiple personalities or dissociative identity disorder.
多重人格当然都不是自己，师尊的看法都不是自己。
Of course, in multiple personalities, they are not ourselves, according to Grandmaster. But in the medical science, they say they're all you. Because they don't believe in the existence of souls or spirits or attached spirits or Buddhas or gods. In terms of science, whatever that they don't see, they don't believe. You're just an ordinary you, and everybody is you, and that's all you do. Everything is what you do. The psychiatrists treat these disorders as follow: letting all the personalities to get along harmoniously and to merge into one person. Is this correct? If it were you, how would you handle it? What is your suggestion? How to use tantric practices to alleviate it? Thank you, Grandmaster, for resolving my confusion. So she's asked the doctors, and the treatment is to let all the personalities to get along harmoniously and to let all the personalities to merge into one personality. Lianhua Mingzi from Taiwan, are you a psychiatrist? If you are a psychiatrist, then you would know the treatments. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know how the psychiatrists treat. Do you know? I only know that they can give injection to tranquilize, or to take tranquilizers, or injections, or if those don't work, then electrocution, or to numb it, to let them sleep, to let all the personalities to get along harmoniously, and to let all the personalities to merge into one. So that's what she said. Is she a psychiatrist? Is this correct? This treatment is correct? As for me, if the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is living inside you, then that would be normal. If it is gods living inside you, that's normal. If it's Golden Mother living inside you, that's normal. If it's attached spirits living inside you because they are holding you in bondage, they are your attached spirits, your karmic creditors, they are creating troubles. How do you make them into one personality? Then you become the attached spirits and the attached spirits become you. Because the attached spirits are your opponents. And your Grandmaster's method is to capture your attached spirits and you become normal. That's my method. That's all. I bear to deliver the attached spirits. Make offering to the attached spirits. Like if you have epilepsy, then I would place some grass in front of you, and the sheep would come out and eat the grass. Because epilepsy in Chinese is like the sheep is shaking. And then they become normal after the sheep comes out from your body. That's a folk remedy. If someone has epilepsy, which means like a sheep genies attaching to you. So and you place grass in front of him, and the sheep wants to eat the grass and come out from his body. That's just an analogy, okay? And Grandmaster is like this. Grandmaster would induce them to get out and then Bardu deliver them. That's how I do it. That's my method. But I have cured many mentally sick people. You've seen that woman that had the episode right here. Did you see? And it was the Shen Ching, the Jade Emperor, that came and helped resolve this problem. He brought his precious sword and then to chop off the ghost. And then when she returned to California, she recovered. She got cured. This happened here inside the temple. So the Jade Emperor came to help. And as I said before, when I lived in the Yixing community, I had cured many mentally ill people, and several of them even immigrated to California. There was the lady boss of a restaurant, and she's in Los Angeles now. I cured them, many of them. The one I wrote in the book, Lu-Ling Shen Ching, a mad person. When she's being attached, she would lay in bed and she would tremble on bed. And it's like exorcism in Catholics. In Catholicism, in the name of God, Jesus, and they use the cross to exorcise, to chase the demons away. So in Catholicism, they also have exorcism. Like Luke's daughter. Oh no. Luke. Is Luke here today? It's Lucas. You have seen Luke's daughter, right? She was crying and yelling, and Grandmaster tapped on her back like this. And I chased away the spirit, and she recovered. I have talked for 40 minutes. For your questions, Taiwan 名字 from Taiwan, is it enough? If it's not enough, I will continue tomorrow. Questions from South Africa. 莲花永远。莲花永远。师尊师母，真佛中好。在师尊文集第216册第158页提到华尔本然。How do you do? 就是说，这个华尔本然不是修行而能够得到的。Grandmaster, in your book number 216, question and answer from the Contemporary Dharma King, on page 158, you mention about the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma, that everything is thus. And you said that it cannot be obtained through spiritual cultivation, so chanting sutras and practicing Dharma are useless. So let me tell you, Dharma is false. It's to induce your true Dharma nature, your Buddha nature. And only that is the intrinsic of the Dharma. So it is correct that Dharma is false. The Dharma is not the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. This is Buddha nature. These 4 words. It inherently inside you, because Sakyamuni Buddha has said, upon his enlightenment, he spoke a statement. It turns out that all sentient beings have Buddha nature. That's the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. But to obtain this intrinsic suchness of all Dharma is not through spiritual cultivation. I wrote it in the book. That is correct. Because spiritual cultivation is to practice the falseness until the true Buddha nature appears. Only then that would be the real intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. Therefore, at that time, you need to let go of all spiritual cultivation. That spiritual cultivation is not the intrinsic suchness of the Dharma. It is just a tool, a means. Do you understand? So we cultivate spiritually, that's right, but in the future, eventually we have to abandon this spiritual cultivation. When you reach the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma, you don't have to cultivate spiritually anymore. That is called the realm of no practice, the realm of no learning. That's what I meant. So it is not obtained through spiritual cultivation. It's not that every days in, days out, you train, you cultivate spiritually, and the spiritual cultivation becomes the intrinsic suchness of all Dharma. No, that's not what I said. You cannot attain it through spiritual cultivation. But you use these tools to open it, and afterwards, do you still need the tools? No. No need. In the Vajra Sutra is mentioned. So you have to forsake all Buddha Dharma. Moreover, the non-Buddha Dharma. So what I mentioned about spiritual cultivation here is the methods. It's like what Grandmaster says about the deity yoga, about the preliminary practices, and then 5 kinds, right? The first one,
资粮法，
the merit accumulation dharma or path, is performing good deeds.
然后再来呢，
That's
加
one
行法，
method. And then the
再来就是
preliminary
见道，
methods, and then
终于
seeing the
认
path,
识了佛性了，
and then you finally
再来
recognize the Buddha nature. And
就是
then
修道，
the
你
path
要
of
把这个佛
practice,
性
you want to make
在
the Buddha nature
修道当中把它修出来，
to
也不是佛性不是修出
to
来，
realize it.
就是你
So Buddha
靠着
nature
这个
is
工
to
具
be not to be practiced, but you
让这个
rely
看
on
到的
this
佛性，到
means
最后就是
and
究竟法，
tools to
就是
see
佛
the
性。
Buddha nature. And then lastly is
在
the
这个
ultimate
过程
path,
当
which
中，
is
我
the
只
Buddha
要讲，
nature.
不是修行而
So
能够
in this
得到，
process,
不是修
I
行而
said
能够得
it
到
is
这
not
句
to be
话。
obtained through
我
spiritual
们念
cultivation.
经修法都是工具，
So chanting sutras, practicing dharma, they're all just tools.
真正法尔
Means.
本然出来的时候啊，
So when
就
the
不用这
intrinsic
些工具
suchness
了。
of dharma appears, then you have no more needs for these
所以
tools
这个
or means.
白教有所谓专一瑜伽，
That's why
首先
in
你要精
Kagyupa
神专
there
一，
are the so-called the yoga of concentration.
第
First you
二个
want to
离系
be
瑜伽，
focused,
离开世俗
and
的一
second
切。
is the yoga of
就是离系瑜
renunciation.
伽。
You abandon all the
再来
mundane.
呢，一味瑜伽，
And then the yoga of
你
one
已经
taste,
跟佛性合一的。
that you're already in
这是一味
union
瑜
with the
伽。
Buddha nature.
最后呢，就是
And then
无邪
lastly,
瑜伽，
it's the yoga
邪
of no learning.
不用再去学，不用再修
You
了。
don't need to learn anymore. You don't need to practice anymore.
你如果一味的修行，还没有到地头，
If you cultivate
法尔本然
spiritually
不是修行而来的，是因为你一
to
直还在
in
修
one
行，
taste,
那
that's
个不
not
是法尔
the
本
end.
然。我的意思是这样子讲，
So if
修
you
行
still
不是
cultivate
法尔
spiritually,
本然，
that's not the intrinsic suchness of all
等你
dharma.
到有一天不用
So
修
spiritual
行了，
cultivation is not the intrinsic
法尔
suchness of
本
all
然出
dharma.
现了，
Until eventually you
根本
don't
就
need
不
to
是修
practice
行。
anymore, and the intrinsic
我的意
suchness
思
of
是
all
这样
dharma
子，我
appears,
给你解释。
then
好，
you don't need to
还
cultivate
是要念
spiritually
经修
anymore.
法。
So that's how I explain it. So, but you still
等到
have
法
to
尔
chant
本然出
sutras
现
and
的话，
practice
这些念经
until
修法都
the
通通都不
intrinsic
用了，
suchness of all dharma appears. And then you
那
don't
个
need
叫无
this
邪道。
anymore, chanting sutras and
你已
practicing.
经到无邪的
And
地步
that's called the path of no learning. You have reached the state or the realm of no
好，现
learning
在
or
讲
no
《金刚经》
practice.
了，
Now I will expound on the
现在
Vajra
才开始
Sutra.
讲了，几点了？
Only starting now? What time is it?
我告诉你哦，好了，这个妙行无住分第4，他讲到
Chapter
布
4,
施。
Non-dwelling in Marvelous
我
Conduct.
先讲一个那个，
It talks about acts of giving.
就在前天晚上吧，前天晚上，
The night before
这个
last,
师尊坐下来，
as Grandmaster said,
这个晚上我修这个千烧
at
法
night
的
to
朝定
practice, to perform the birth deliverance of the 1,000 Dharma vessels in my meditation.
勤乐令，勤
I
有
invoke,
缘，
I invited and
前
commanded
上法船，
all Bardo spirits with affinities to ride on the,
招请
to get on board
有
the
缘众
Dharma vessels.
请上法船。
I invite all the
我就这
Bardo
样子
spirits with affinity to get on board
念
the
完的时候，
Dharma
来了一个菩
vessels.
萨，
I
就
chanted
是
that,
贤手菩萨。
and afterwards there was a Bodhisattva
贤手
appearing,
菩萨，贤是圣贤的贤，
a divine
是首领的首，
Senso
首
Bodhisattva,
领。贤
divine
手菩萨来了一
leader
个贤手菩
Bodhisattva.
萨。贤手菩萨就跟我讲，
So, and this divine leader Bodhisattva told
卢
me,
师尊，
Grandmaster Lu,
你超度何？就是你超度什么？
what are you bardo delivering?
我说，我跟
And I
贤手菩萨
said,
讲，
I told the
我现在正在
Bodhisattva,
超度
I'm in the middle of
对这
bardo
个
deliverance
冠状病毒而
for
死的
those
所
who
有的
died
有
from
缘的灵魂，
coronavirus,
我正在超度他。
all the spirits that has affinity,
那贤手菩萨又问，
all the spirits who
那
died
你
from
超度
coronavirus.
生活
And
中
the
弟子
Bodhisattva asked,
这个
so
签化的时候，
when
延吉的时候，生活中弟子延吉的时候，
when Tribuddha school disciples die, do you bardo deliver them? And I said
我也
yes.
超，只要写信到中文回来，
Anyone that writes letters to the Tribuddha Foundation,
一起超度，
I will bardo deliver them together on top of the 1000 Dharma
你的
vessels.
祖先还有你的
And
亲
then
友
he asked
你
me,
超度吗？
do you also bardo deliver your ancestors and your friends
贤
and
手菩萨最后
relatives?
他
I said
重点
yes.
在这里，他就问
And
我，
the key point is here.
至
The
于过
Bodhisattva
往
asked
的
me,
所有的中阴灵魂，
all the bardo
经过你
spirits
这里
and the
的中
spirits
阴灵魂，
who
跟你
have
完
died
全没有关系
and
的灵魂，
pass by you here,
跟
and the spirits
跟
that
这些
had no
你讲过的
relations
你
with
超
you
度的这些
whatsoever,
完全没有关系的灵魂，又不是你的亲戚朋友，
so
又
the
不是你的
spirits
祖
who
先，
are
也
not
不是你的
your
弟子，
relatives or
也不是
friends
因为
or ancestors
这
or
个
your
新冠病毒
disciples
死的
or
这些
not
人，
died
这
due
些
to
中阴，
coronavirus,
你超度吗？
do you bardo deliver them too?
我就答不出来了，对
I
不对？
could not answer
因
anymore
为那跟我无缘嘛，
because it
连
has
现
they have no affinity with
连
me,
一点关系都没有的灵魂，
has no
我没有
relationship
超度。
whatsoever. I don't bardo deliver them.
贤手菩萨跟我讲，
And the divine
这
leader
个你
Bodhisattva
的超
told me,
度就叫做有相超度，
so your bardo deliverance has form.
叫有相超度。
It's called
那
bardo
你叫我怎么办？
deliverance with form. So what should
那
I
你
do?
以后你要改，
And he said, in the future you have to change.
无缘中印，
So bardo spirits with
请
affinity,
上
bardo spirits without affinity, please get
他说
on
这
board
样
the
子
Dharma
你
vessels.
的功德就无量。
He said, this way your merits will become immeasurable.
功德无等等，
Your merits becomes
《金
unparalleled,
刚经》里面讲，
as spoken in the Vajra Sutra.
虚空可以测度吗？不能。
Can you measure the space? No.
但是你只要做
However,
无相的超度，
if you perform bardo deliverance
功
without
德
form
不可测度。
or without phenomena,
同样的道理，
then the
所
merits
以你要
would be
做无
immeasurable.
相的
It's the same
超度，
concept.
有缘
Therefore,
中
you
印，
need to perform
无
bardo
缘中印
deliverance without
都要超
form.
度。
And you want to bardo
不
deliver
管你认
spirits
识的、不
with
认识的，
and
是
without
不是生活
affinities,
中的，
whether you
不是
know
生
them
活
or
中的，
not, whether they're
不管你是你
parts
的
of
亲友
Tribuddha
也
school
好，
or
不是
not.
你的亲友也好，是你的
It's
祖先
fine
也
whether
好，不
they're
是你的祖先
friends
也好，
or
不管
not, ancestors
你
or
是
not,
有瘟疫死的也好，
whether
还
they
不是
died
瘟疫死的也好，
from COVID or not,
全部要超度，这
you
个才
have
叫
to
无
bardo
相
deliver
超
them
度。
all. Only then it is called bardo deliverance with no form.
贤手菩萨跟我这样子讲，
That's
我
what
说谢谢，
the divine
因为
leader
贤手菩
Bodhisattva
萨讲
told
了一句
me.
话，
And I said thank you
无言大慈啊，
because the
同体
Bodhisattva
大
said,
悲啊，一切
compassion
寒灵
for those without affinities and
你都
loving
要超度，
kindness for them all.
这样才是功德无
So
等
you
等。
want to
但
bardo
是
deliver
不
them
以功
all.
德想，
Only then the
不要只
merits
想
is
这些就是有
unparalleled.
功德，
But don't
而且
keep them
功
in
德无等
mind
等，
that they have
不要去想，
merits. Only when you don't think about it, it is called Pardo deliverance without form. And the divine leader Bodhisattva told me this. So the sutra today is this chapter 4, non-dwelling in marvelous conduct. Subhuti, a bodhisattva should not dwell on anything. When performing acts of giving, he should not dwell on the form of giving, nor should he dwell on the sound, smell, taste, touch, or anything at all. Subhuti, bodhisattvas should perform acts of giving in this way without dwelling on form. Why? Because when a bodhisattva does not dwell on anything, his merit becomes immeasurable. Subhuti, what does it mean? Can space in the east be measured? No, World Honored One. Subhuti, can space in the west, north, south, above and below in all dimensions be measured? No, World Honored One. So Subhuti, when a bodhisattva performs acts of giving without dwelling on form, his merit and virtue is likewise immeasurable. Subhuti, the bodhisattva should abide this way. Now you understand? In the past, there was and someone who give charity of porridge. And during famine, people don't have food. So everybody was famished. So this landlord was giving out this porridge. Cantonese. So Cantonese is in between Mandarin and Taiwanese. So he gave out lots of this porridge. And there are many of his servants giving out the porridges. And they yelled, "Oh, landlord, there are many rich people. We know them. And they also come for the porridge." And the landlord inside said, "It's okay, continue to give. Whether they have money or not, give them all." And the neighbors too, they come and they have money. And they seem to live, to be well off. And they also come. And the old landlord said, "It's fine. That's fine." And the servants came and said again. And someone came for a bowl, and after he finished, and he came for the second one. And he brought a bucket. And the old landlord said, "It's okay, let him have it. That's fine." No way. And not just one person. He brought the whole family, even the grandchildren. And the old landlord said, "Fine, no problem." And and he's come for many times, and every day they come and eat. And he treats this as a restaurant. And the old landlord still say, "That's fine." Should we set a restriction at what time they can come and afterwards they cannot? But the old landlord said, "No problem. even if they want to have takeouts or use a bucket to get some, it's fine. Even if they take the whole bucket, it's fine. We just cook more. So the charity of this old landlord is called the acts of giving without form. He gives it all and more. Non-dwelling on the charity. And these people, the worst kinds of people, and murderers, and evil people, robbers, and liars, and murderers, and they all came for the porridge. And the servants ran in and told them, "Oh no, the killers and the scams and the rapists, bandits, they all came for your porridge." And the old landlord said, "No problem, fine. They all can come. It doesn't matter, it's good or bad. Just give them all." Very simple, let me tell you. This is called acts of giving without form. Without dwelling on form. Let's not talk about merits. It's non-dwelling on merits. But Sakyamuni Buddha has said this kind of merit is unimaginable. So that old landlord in each of his lifetimes would be very wealthy. He did not ask for going to heavens or to become gods, but in each of his lifetimes, for innumerable kalpa, would be very rich and very healthy. So I think after the pandemic, when everybody can live normally, I really hope that the Seattle Lechang Temple, whether they are the neighbors, let them come and eat. It doesn't matter how long you stay here. There's no restriction. Anybody is welcome to eat. The whole families taking out. Even if you take out to give to your neighbors, it's fine. Anything is fine. I'll just cook. We'll just do it until our saving is gone, until the mountain is empty. And Reverend Lien Zhi, like, "Oh no, we have no more money. They're all eaten up by the disciples worldwide. They all came. They all come and stay and don't leave. And they eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all of them. And not only that, all their families also come. And not only that, all the neighbors too." But let me tell you, it will never be all gone. It's immeasurable merit. By all means, don't just take a few bentos to those people. And you say, "Not for you. You've been here for a long time," so they take back the bento. Otherwise, they would be scolded by the masters and the reference. the bento's already taken out and then gotten back. That's so embarrassing. You know, if you have take out some, just let them out. Not because just a box of bento. That's truly non-dwelling charity. Sakyamuni Buddha has said, for non-dwelling acts of giving, all bodhisattvas in their 6 perfections are all without form or phenomena. What is this non-phenomena or no form in the Vajra Sutra? And Grandmaster has to perform Bhadra deliverance without form. All the ordained monks, nuns, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, and all the volunteers after the pandemic disappears, because during the pandemic we have restriction because we are afraid of the community infection. That's why we have limitations on how many people can come in. So that's why we have this discrimination and time limits. Like we have an announcement there. Like you have no meals if you stay over 3 months. So if you stay over 3 months, you have no more meals. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. Let them eat. Even neighbors around here, they can, if they want the bento boxes, they can have them. So during the pandemic, they can eat them under the tent or outdoors. And we have limitations indoors because of the pandemic. But in the future, the Seattle Lezang Temple and Rainbow Lezang Temple, we should perform charities with no form. Don't be afraid to have people eat your food, because if they eat, then you would gain blessings. The people who make the food would gain merits. The people of the temples would gain merits. This is non-dwelling. This is no form. This is very important. We don't block sentient beings. We are truly helping all sentient beings. So, and in our help of sentient beings, they are all without dwelling on form or phenomena. So, non-dwelling in marvelous conduct. We don't dwell on anything. And we do acts of givings not for anything. So a bodhisattva should not dwell on anything. When performing acts of giving, he should not dwell on the form of giving, nor should he dwell on sound, smell, taste, touch, or anything at all. It's very simple. You give when a young person comes. You give when an old person comes. So you perform acts of giving without dwelling on form. A weak, sick person comes, you give. A healthy person comes, you also give. Form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and anything. And no difference at all. You give indiscriminately. Then the merits is unimaginable, immeasurable. That's what Sakyamuni Buddha said. A couple ate at the restaurant, and at the next table there's a couple of lovers, and the man keep encouraging the woman to eat more, and gain more weight, then you would be healthier. And the wife said, I also want to eat more so that I would gain some weight and then I would be healthier. And the husband said, come on, please don't eat too much, because the one next door is different. Otherwise, you would be almost like a pig. Today, I sneezed 5 times continuously. I was curious, who's missing me? I don't have a boyfriend. Somebody that's secretly having a crush on me? Which one? So I thought of all the boys that I know one by one, and I reject them all. And finally, I have a conclusion that I'm catching cold. Honey, you're so handsome and you're capable. Why do you want to marry me? And he said, oh, because you're so cute, so silly and so cute. And then she said, but I'm fat. But that's very lucky. And then she said, oh, you're so nice. But the husband thought, but I did not dare to tell her that there was a fortune teller that told me if I don't marry you, then I will not live past 40 years old. And the wife was thinking secretly, but I would never tell you even if I die, is that the fortune teller was my uncle. So the problem created from the fortune telling. That's all for today, Om Mani Padme Hum.